Welcome to Upper Lafayette on the Move. I'm Jance Swift. With all the talk about education in Lafayette Parish lately, I thought it'd be great to talk about what's going on in the schools. And we're honored today to welcome Linda Nance, principal of Acadian Middle School. Linda, thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're at Delta Media Studios right by, in Karen Crow, right by your school.
Yes.
On Moss Street. So I thought if we could do this, if you'd start with your background in education and then tell us how you ended up here at Acadian Middle. So.
Absolutely. I'm originally from Tennessee, which you'll be able to tell by my accent. I moved here in '71, became an instructor at UL, and from there I moved around to different places. I was in East Baton Rouge Parish. I was at Ascension Catholic High for a year. Came back to Lafayette, taught at Karen Crow High School, went to Lafayette High School, then back to Karen Crow High as an assistant principal for 1 year. Career Center, Moss Middle School, and then became principal at Acadian Middle and ended up retiring in 2006.
Wow.
Became a consultant, traveled around the state working with low-performing schools, and then had the opportunity to come back in the turnaround plan that Dr. Cooper had presented, and that eventually led me back to my roots, which is Acadian Middle School.
Isn't that something?
Yes, it is.
Tell me, if we may, before we move on, what did you teach when you started? What subjects were you teaching?
I taught health and physical education, and I coached.
You did? What'd you coach?
I coached volleyball, and
wow,
great sport. Great sport.
Yeah,
Yes.
competitive and
Very.
fun. Yeah. So you worked in East Baton Rouge with schools that needed to be turned around?
I actually worked all over the state at low-performing schools, but East Baton Rouge was one of my assignments.
So when you started teaching in the 70s, that was, I guess, a different day in many ways for education.
Yes, it was. The emphasis now on test scores was something that was not there back then. I guess the 3 R's, you know.
Reading, writing, and arithmetic is what we worried about.
Exactly, and it has evolved now to where, like I said, the emphasis is on test scores and raising school performance scores. And
Right. I graduated from high school in 1975, and thinking back, I took the ACT because I knew I was going to go to LSU. A lot of people in my school were going to college, but not everybody.
Right.
And a lot of people would work back then. I don't know what we called it, but I know there was some term where you would go to school half a day and maybe work in a trade half a day, like secretarial or trade school, and there just wasn't the focus on the high performance that we have now. Although you knew you needed to do well and you wanted to do well, we didn't have that. And what do you think started all this? I didn't bring you on the show to ruminate about all that, but when did we start giving grades to schools, and when did the focus shift?
In the 90s. And it's just really grown. And I'm not going to say in a negative way or a positive way. It's just it's really grown, and I guess I would lean more to the, you know, we are over testing kids. It's
and
not
teachers too,
and teachers. Yeah. It's not just the LEAP, the iLEAP, the PARC. There are so many other tests that we have to give that it's really, in my opinion, gotten out of hand.
Yeah, because you know you can't ever go back. You don't want to ruminate or worry about the good old days, but we had huge classes, we had discipline, and I think the teachers were given the respect that they needed. You know, we were laughing off camera, but if anybody got a call, if their parents got a call from the teacher, there was not even a question about, is the teacher right? It was like, you're punished. You know?
Exactly.
I don't want to hear anything, I don't want to hear any excuses. And you know, you can't go back to that day, but it did make a difference, I guess, for the teachers, because they could focus on education and not the discipline so much.
It did for teachers and administrators, and in certain cases, the kids as well. I mean, kids basically want structure. They want to be in a class where they can learn, and when you have a disruptive student or students in the class, it makes it difficult for those kids. And then when you get the kid to the office and the parent comes in and wants to support what their child did when it really didn't warrant that, it's hard.
It is hard, yeah. So you retired for the first time in 2006. And so now you're back at Acadian Middle, and it's kind of interesting off the record from your career, but you and Melinda Voorhees, I guess, knew each other in Baton Rouge, and she's also, she was into volleyball and still is a referee for the SEC, right, the college teams.
Correct, and that's how we met, was through volleyball. She officiated, I coached, and
in Baton Rouge.
In Baton Rouge, that was like 30 years ago.
That's so cool.
I know.
And so when she was hired by Pat Cooper to go to Northside, she called on you to come out of retirement.
Right.
And so you were at Northside for a while when she started.
Correct.
there.
I was there for a semester. Yes.
Because of your background in turning around schools.
Correct.
Okay. So tell us, I mean, what does it mean to be a, if you don't mind me getting basic, what is a school that needs to be turned around or that's in a turnaround status? What is that?
When I first went to Acadian Middle for the second time, there was basically a belief there that these kids could not learn, and that happens for reasons, some of them good, some of them bad, but it's just a culture that developed there that really was not fair to those kids. The turnaround that occurred evolved from myself meeting with my administrative team saying, look, this is what we need to fix this school. What do y'all think? And everybody was on board. So I went to the school board and said, well, I went to Dr. Cooper first and Sandra Bilodeau and said, we need to reconstitute the school and we need to implement teaming. And they supported me.
Reconstitute means to start over.
Means that everybody has to reapply for your position and let the chips fall where they may. May the best person, you know, come out ahead. Actually, as I told you the other day, we had 25 teachers that asked to leave, which to me spoke volumes. They were there, but that's not where their heart was. And so I was able to recruit. It took the administrative team. We recruited, interviewed out the wazoo, and ended up filling 33 positions. Most of the positions were filled by either first or second year teachers.
Wow.
They were young, they were energetic, they were
Katie
on
Thornton.
fire.
Yeah, I
yes.
know some of your teachers.
And watched them come in that school and just roll up their sleeves and make a difference.
So the energy level was good, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so tell me about what's happened. I know that at the time Acadian Middle was a D school, whatever that means, and tell me about the last year, what's happened?
Well, I'm proud to say that we raised our test scores 14 points, which is the most in Lafayette Parish. It is incredible. What I saw unfold was just incredible. The kids, their little faces, it was like they got to school at the beginning of the year and they were looking around and they didn't see too many people that they knew, and they knew something had changed.
Right.
And once they got in the classrooms and the teachers just took them and nurtured them and helped them grow, they just bought into it, and it was just incredible to watch the whole thing take place. And the kids worked hard, the teachers worked hard, and the results were astounding.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was at one of the school board meetings where you were asked to speak about what you needed. And so the kids worked harder, you got new teachers, but you also had a lot of resources that you requested, right?
Yes.
And I didn't really understand about that when I heard you testifying, but part of it was called team teaching.
Right. It was actually called teaming, not team teaching. But what happens is you have 2 teams per grade level in 6th, 7th, and 8th, and there's a team of teachers that takes that one group of kids, Team A or Team B, and they just take them, work with them, talk to them about their test scores, where they're doing well, where they need help. There's time allotted during the day for the entire group of teachers to host parent conferences. If a parent wants to come in and see how their child's doing, they get to see all the teachers in one sitting.
So the teachers kind of I guess as a team, as you call it, they're watching not only the grades, but how the child is, I guess, getting through the year.
Correct.
Where they might need assistance.
Correct. Correct. They gave us additional administrative assistance, additional counseling assistance, which we needed very much so. So the human resources, in addition to teaming, were a big plus as far as us being able to do what we did.
Right. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I know it's exhilarating and probably also just draining to think back about what's happened.
It is, and Jan, when I interviewed for the job, I'll never forget this. My last slide on my PowerPoint, I pretty much said, why, if you hire me, you know, and the last thing that I said was, I know I can make a difference. And what I did not anticipate was the difference that those teachers and kids made in Linda Nance.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
It was just incredible. If I had not gone down this road, I would have missed an awful lot of love and just admiration for these teachers for what they're doing, and the young ones, just to see them blossom and it just is something that I will never forget.
I had the opportunity to sit in May at one of your closing ceremonies where you were honoring the top achievers, those that read the most books, the awards in the different classes. And I know Edie Myers from UL works with you also. And I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed that so much, watching the kids and the joy on their faces when their peers were honored. You could tell the favorites in the class. And it wasn't like it was necessarily the most popular kid, but the ones that really had worked hard, and it was fun. It was really a fun event to be there and watch that. And
for me to watch the kids respond to each other that way, you know, when I first went there, it's like I was told, don't have any assemblies, you know, because the kids don't know how to act, and it's gonna.
I didn't see that at all.
Well, that what you saw was the end of a year where we had high expectations. This was the first semester I was there that happened. We had high expectations of these kids. They knew it, and they
rose to the occasion.
They rose to the occasion, exactly.
Yeah. I've seen that at Northside too. I mean, people might have, any high school really, there's always going to be a cut up or two, but I was impressed. I mean, everything I've gone to at both schools, it's been really, you know, the kids are well behaved and respectful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They are. And, you know, we get a bad rap, but kids are kids. It doesn't matter. They are. And good teaching is good teaching, and we have good teaching at Acadian Middle School. And speaking of Dr. Myers, we're partnering with them for a professional development school, which means that we get student teachers.
Great.
And that has been a big plus for us as well. And we've been fortunate enough to be able to hire a lot of these teachers, these student teachers, when they finish,
And they know your culture then.
They know the culture, and I mean, without just a couple of exceptions, they have fallen in love with middle school and they want to stay there if they can.
Seems like a great age to teach. I know you were telling me that. Well, speaking of behavior and all, you told me recently that with the new Gear Up grant that was just awarded to start up again in Lafayette Parish. And Gear Up is a program that we're getting funding from the federal government to watch middle school kids up through high school, to get them to plan ahead for college, work hard, and give them resources and give the schools resources that you need to help these underperforming schools. But you told me recently that the Leader in Me is going to be instituted in your school, and let's talk about that. I mean, that's kind of a big, the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Yes.
People. I mean, this is exciting.
Yes, we actually looked into it last year, but it's a very expensive,
yeah.
program or process, I guess, and we couldn't afford it. So with Gear Up, now the grant being renewed, they're going back to middle schools, and Tracy Oquan came to us and said, we're going to fund the Leader in Me, and we were so excited. We are currently doing a book study on the Leader in Me, and
the teachers are.
The teachers are. They're guiding us through the process. They said that's the first step. Every Friday we have a PLC to discuss 2 chapters at a time. It is incredible how much the teachers are contributing to, I mean, it's just like everybody's wheels are turning now, and they're seeing things and getting ideas, and it's also a self-reflection. I mean, me being a leader, and I look at stuff, you know, that I'm reading, and I'm like, ooh, I need to work on that,
on my
you know?
behavior, yeah.
And so I just feel really good about it based on the input from the teachers. We'll go to training in the spring, and then starting next fall, we should be ready to completely implement.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I know United Way gets funding, and they have funded some schools in Lafayette Parish, and the statistics on what happens in those schools is incredible. I mean, hope I'm not fudging on the numbers, but I know that discipline problems tend to go down about 60%. And then math and reading scores go up about 50%. So just preliminarily, not only are people being enriched to learn how to delay gratification, look for win-win in situations, and how to treat others with respect, but their own lives are being enriched. You know, their academic performance, everything is enhanced.
One of the components that we're excited about in the Leader in Me is parental involvement.
Right.
And we can use a lot of that at Acadian Middle. We haven't been very successful with that, and we feel like the Leader in Me is going to assist in that.
Why is that? Do the kids bring home the things they've learned?
That's what we're reading. And based on the testimonials from the schools that have implemented it nationwide, they're seeing, you know, they're amazed when their child comes home and is speaking about being proactive and sharpening the saw. And these kids, 5 and 6 years old, are actually, you know, using that verbiage at home, and it piques the parents' interest, and the kids actually teach the parents the 7 habits. So
it can make you cry if you get into it too much.
Yes, absolutely.
So parental involvement is something that's an issue, I guess. I know it is at some other schools too, throughout the parish. It's not just your school.
No,
but you know, I've talked to people. We have such a high percentage of kids and families that are in the private school system. We have about 25% of our kids, I think, that are outside of the public school system, and that energy of the parents, which is good. I mean, it's devoted to their kids' schools, but it used to be where there'd be a higher percentage, and most, I think, parishes do have higher public education participation.
Yes.
And it makes a difference for you, for the PTO and all the fundraisers and everything.
Yes, yes. We have tried unsuccessfully to have a PTO. We can only get a handful of parents to come, but we're hoping the Leader in Me is going to help us change that.
Yeah. You had a couple of notes. I know I don't want to let the time go by. Is there anything that I know you wanted to cover some of these topics we've been yakking about off camera?
Well, we've implemented a program this year called Peers Making Peace.
Oh yeah, what's that?
And basically, we had some teachers that went to some training this summer voluntarily and came back on fire. And they have trained the students to be mediators, peer mediators, for fellow students who are having issues. And it is just incredible how much it's starting to catch on. And, you know, for an adult to tell a child how to solve a problem is completely different than having a peer tell a peer how to solve a problem.
Right.
So we're getting buy-in from the kids. It has assisted our assistant principals because they're not as busy, because the kids are resolving a lot of the issues through peer mediation. And
so what happens, like if there's a fight or something, or I don't know what happens at school, but if there's an issue, you go before the court like your peers? So.
Well, it's not really a court, and it's not, fighting is a whole different animal. What we try to do is, if there is just a conflict that could possibly lead to a fight, we want to stop that before it gets to that point. And so the kids can indicate that they need mediation, or teachers can indicate that kids need mediation. So the goal is to prevent something from getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And it's really,
that's great.
It's growing every week.
Is there a lot of that? Is there a lot of little issues that happen in middle school?
Yes, there are. And you know, kids are kids, and they want to pick sometimes, and
they mess up.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I know at my daughter's school, they have, they call it honor court. And if there's some issue, you know, you talk to the teachers, but then they have some of the older kids will hold the honor court. And apparently they're tougher than the teachers would be.
I've heard about what you're talking about, and that's what I understand.
So you don't want to go before honor court?
No.
Because, you know,
no.
There's no, they don't give you a lot of leeway. But it's because they know that the kids are better than that.
Oh,
and you shouldn't do that again. So
exactly.
It really works.
Our most active organization is our 4-H club.
Yeah, what do y'all do? Like what type of activities?
We just recently had a canned goods drive for Thanksgiving, and 250 cans of food were collected. Amanda Provost is our sponsor, and she's on fire as well, and we were very excited to get that amount of food.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, and they do a good job of that. They'll do the same thing between Thanksgiving and Christmas. They go to nursing homes and visit. It's just a great organization. So we're very proud of them.
We just have a couple of minutes left, and I do want to ask you if anybody would like to volunteer at Acadian Middle, or if they'd like to know, maybe, I know you have things like adopt a grade or adopt a project, and business people, families are welcome to come help your school. What is the best way to get in touch with you or the proper person to volunteer to assist the school with needs you may have?
If they would just call the school at 521-7840 and talk to the secretary that answers the phone and let them know, they will patch them through to me, or if I'm busy, they'll take a number. But you know, we love having people in our school. We're very proud of it, and we just feel like when people walk on our campus, they know that they're in a special place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful campus.
Thank you.
I know Upper Lafayette's been very honored to partner with you, and if anyone else is interested in that, as an example, we sponsored an awards ceremony, so there are ways you can plug in that don't cost a lot of money but really make a difference in the life of the school. So we've just about run out of time. I want to thank you, Linda Nance, principal of Acadian Middle, and my friend. I'm just so honored to know you, and thank you for taking time with us today.
Well, thank you for everything you do for Upper Lafayette.
It's a pleasure. And I want to thank you also, and we're filming this right before Thanksgiving. This should be airing Thanksgiving evening, 2014. So on behalf of Upper Lafayette Economic Development Foundation, thank you for watching our show. I'm Jance Swift with another episode of Upper Lafayette on the Move.
Hey, rock, chaque fois le ben après jouer.